Oh shit, Falcon fans, Falcon fans, Falcon fans, and of course, Thomas Scott from the Rise Up Tour. It's going down in a major way. Rise Up Tour Fan Club is in the building. T Will is in the building. We are talking about the upcoming schedule here, but with a special guest. And of course, you guys seen what we do here on One Time for the Fan. We are not live. So you're probably looking at the video like, oh shit, Jack, where's the live button? No, we're not live. We're pre-recording this. Right. So you can still leave your questions in the chat. You can still leave your comments in the chat and we will go over them. But a special guest with a good special friend here, my good friend, Mr. Thomas Scott. Thomas, how are you doing, sir?
Hey man, I'm good, man. T Will, Jack, man. Everything's good on this side of the world. What about you guys?
Oh man, everything is going great over here. I'm glad you can take the time out of your day to come talk not only Falcons football, but of course the Rise Up Tour Fan Club that so many fans have questions about, and I've been talking about it here on the podcast. Still, Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, Amazon Podcasts for those that's listening. You can also check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. Please Google One Time for the Fan, but also check out the Rise Up Tour Fan Club. So many people have questions about the fan club. We are here to talk about it on this pre-recorded video podcast that you guys can get some information to help you all going for your upcoming season. T Will.
Yes, sir.
We have another podcast later on tonight, but how are you doing, sir?
Well, first off, Jack, I'm humbled, right, to be in the midst of Rise Up Tour Fan Club royalty, yourself included. So I guess I'm like, what's the guy that played for the Cubs? Let's Play 2 today. We're doing a doubleheader, man. I mean, I'm excited about it. Let's get to it. Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who do not know what the Rise Up Tour Fan Club is, it is a tour group put together specifically for Atlanta Falcons fans to get together when we go to away games, right? So we know we can get together when we go to the home games, but, let's say you're in, I don't know, Vegas, like we're going to be this year, and you want to gather with your people. You want to gather with the Falcons fans. Well, thanks to Mr. Thomas Scott and Mr. Jack Spade, our illustrious guests, you now can do that, and you can have a great time, and we will get into that today. So Jack and I are going to switch roles, and I'm going to play the host today, so that'll be fun. I get to mess around with the controls, I guess. I don't know.
Sheesh.
Thomas, first and foremost, again, sir, welcome, welcome, welcome. And if you will allow me, I'm just going to tell the fans a little bit about you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Thomas Scott. He is our president of the Rise Up Tour Fan Club. Jack is our vice president. And Jack and Thomas put this group together. And it has grown by leaps and bounds over the years. Now, Thomas, I got to ask you a question, and I'm sure our fans want to know, how did this start, and how did you and Jack meet?
Man, it was back in 2018, probably the early part of the year. Actually, probably around this time. Come to think about it, probably around this time. I had saw Jack posting, I guess, one of those Falcons groups. We have many of them. But it's kind of talking about the Hall of Fame game.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, well, cool. He said he had an extra ticket. No, rewind that. Scratch that. Cleveland. So this was during the season. No, this was during the season. And it was during the season. He said he had an extra Browns ticket.
Okay.
All right. So going into the dog pound, you ever been to Cleveland? Cleveland can be a little hostile. But anyway, I had never met Jack from a can of paint. I was looking for a ticket. I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time.
Okay.
So I was like, all right, well, cool. This is kind of my way to meet other Falcons fans, things of that nature. So reached out to Jack, and said, hey, man, I may have an extra ticket. Boom. That's kind of where it started. So then me and him, we just kind of connected. And then kind of fast forward a little bit, after that season, we talked about the Hall of Fame game.
Okay.
We ended up going to the Hall of Fame game because I had this vision. This vision is like how to connect Falcons fans because, again, I had lived in Washington, D.C. at the time.
Okay.
I I wasn't connected to the Atlanta fan base, but I was a huge fan. But I just lived in I lived in the district.
Okay.
So since I lived in the district, I just kind of gave Jack like my vision, like, hey man, let's kind of put a group together where we all kind of focus, because what we learned in Cleveland is you got people in different little pockets, right? So I may not hang with T Will, but Jack knows T Will, but I don't hang with T Will.
Gotcha.
So let's see, how can we marry everybody together?
Connect everybody. Okay. That makes perfect sense.
The connection.
That's where it started, because I call it the spider web effect, right?
Okay.
So this tentacle may know this side, but this tentacle doesn't know the other tentacle. But the person in the center knows everybody.
Right.
So let's kind of bring it all together.
Okay. And the Rise Up Tour is the center, I take it.
The Rise Up Tour is the center. It's a neutral place that everybody can go. So if you're living in South America, you're living in Vegas, you live in Arizona, living in Canada, New York, Florida, DC, Georgia. Hell, you can be from Kansas. And we're going to connect you with everybody.
That's good. That's and that's an interesting way you put that. Obviously, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just to piggyback off of that, the ticket sale was one thing. I had a friend of mine who couldn't make the game.
Yes.
And he was worried about the weather. Remember, Thomas, was going to be a cold game that day. I think it was going to be predicted snowing, probably ice storm or something was going on. It was going to be bad weather conditions. But for fans that wanted to travel, I was still going to go. For me to want to sell a ticket to a Falcons group with a bunch of fans that, I don't know who's going to buy the ticket. It still showed that I was going to go to the game. And for a fan like Thomas, don't matter where he was, it was Washington, it could have been Florida, could have been New York. He wanted to go to the game too. Right. So there are fans that love to travel, even if they're traveling by themselves. There are fans that just love to be a part of that Falcon experience. But Thomas's vision also behind the scenes of, man, what if we bring these fans together? Because when Thomas came with the idea of, look, we can throw this event in Cleveland. And it was like, event in Cleveland? What do you mean? What event in Cleveland can we throw, Thomas? The Falcons are playing the Browns. That's the only thing that we know about. Now, Thomas is like, yeah, but you got to think about it, man. Fans walking past each other and just saying hi and bye. Like, is that what the fans really are about? And you really get to kind of think about it, and it's like, no, that's not what we should be about. When you're seeing the Steelers and you're seeing the 49ers and you're seeing the Cowboys do what they do to become that big fan base. And I was always thinking about it with the Falcons, like, you know what? Every time I travel on the road as a fan before the tour, it would just be a hello, how you doing, and let's go. We keep going about our business. I could have met Thomas in 2015 in Carolina, and it would have been a, how you doing, Falcon fan? How you doing, Falcon fan? And we just keep moving. And that's it. Versus now, and Thomas, and the fans that's going to be watching this knows, now it's, hey, where are you going tonight? Where are you going this afternoon? Where are you going to be this morning? Where are you going to be Friday night? What hotel you staying in? And now fans can say, oh, you ain't heard about the RISEUP Tour Fan Club? Let me show you this. So just imagine over the years what it has become versus, when we first started, where fans would just travel and have nothing to do.
Right.
And now fans are traveling, and Thomas can tell you, my phone is going off right now. Thomas's phone is going off right now. They want to know before the schedule drops, what are y'all doing this year? Right. So when it came to what me and Thomas, I got a cool little picture right here too as well, because Thomas, you might remember this day. Let me see if I can bring it up. Thomas, you might remember this one. Bam. Thomas, remember that one right there?
Yeah. Front row.
Me and Thomas. This is the day after we threw an epic event at, what was the place? Jack's Casino?
Something like that, yeah.
At the casino across from Quicken Loans Arena, where, like Thomas said, man, bring the fans out. Let's have a good time. We started hitting up some people, hitting up some fans who were traveling. We had a nice event at a pub, like a bar, right, earlier, Friday evening. Then Saturday, we threw this enormous party down at Jack's Casino where we had a DJ, and we had fans come out, and some of the crew that was the pilots, the flight attendants that was on the Delta flight with the Falcons had came out because they had heard about this event. And this was like really the first event for the RISEUP Tour Fan Club. But you can see it right there from the picture, Terry. That was the ticket on the wall. Wow. Row 1 on the wall. And I wasn't going to sit there by myself, which I could have, but I had an extra ticket. And I didn't tax Thomas for the ticket. I was like, Thomas, face value, whatever. You're flying from DC, bro. Like, but it started out as just a ticket to where it is now. And as we get through this interview, it's going to be crazy what you're going to hear, Terry, because we've really done a lot for the Falcons fan base. And we just want to make sure that everybody is enjoying what the RISEUP Tour Fan Club has to offer. So that's why I wanted to, throw my 2 cents into the mix there, Terry.
Jack, you are welcome to throw your 2 cents into the mix anytime you like. Not only on this show, Jack, it's actually your show. So anytime you want.
It's our show. It's the fan show. One time for the fan is from the fan for the fan. We stand on that.
I'm just messing with you. Okay, so gentlemen, it's rare that two very talented, very intelligent, very passionate individuals just happen to meet and start up a group. I don't believe in coincidence. However, I'm going to throw it out to the panel. Do you guys believe that there was an element of destiny and an element of providence and an element of divine intervention for you guys to meet the way you met, and 6 years later, and we'll get into that, have really developed an organization that's not like any other? And we started with Mr. Thomas. So I'm going to throw this one out to Jack, and then Thomas, you can follow him, and we'll do vice versa the other way, however you guys want to do it. But Jack, do you feel that there's an element of destiny, an element of divine intervention? You guys just happen to meet each other, and 6 years later, wow, we're doing tours. Mm-hmm. We got all sorts of things going on in the off season. Talk to me about that. What are your thoughts?
I think it is. And I'm all for that because it goes with one time for the fan too. I mean, when we had our conversation, Terry, I've talked to your brother for years. I've talked to Eric Parker for a long time. I know he's a diehard Atlanta Falcon fan. Yes. And as much as I've talked to Eric, I've never extended the invite of Eric being a co-host on One Time for the Fan, but a special guest, because I know Eric has a busy schedule. But the day I talked to you was it's like I was talking to myself, kind of. It was like I was talking to a journalist, like a diehard Atlanta Falcon fan, but of course Braves fan and Georgia Bulldogs, but everything else too as well. It sounded like I was really talking to myself. And then when I talked to Bodie too as well, when I talked to Chase, so those moments is what helped build One Time for the Fan. And then when you go to the RISEUP Tour Fan Club now, talking to Thomas in the beginning, we didn't know what was going to happen 5-6 years from now. We didn't know. I'm telling you, I think we was kind of worried in the beginning of what everything was happening, because we're putting on events for fans where it's like, Thomas can tell you, and I talk to Thomas damn near every day, and I can tell you from back then to now, he is still Thomas Scott, but he also knows that the RISEUP Tour Fan Club is very big, not only to him and the team around him, but of course the fans. And that's what is so big right now to the RISEUP Tour Fan Club. It's the fans. That's why everything has to be so grand for the fans. Yes. Because we're doing this for the fans. So I do think that these moments are very important. And of course, if my friend would have went to that game, who knows what would have happened with the RISEUP Tour Fan Club. Right. Because my friend backed out because he's scared of the weather. Now he getting ready to sign up next week. Big shout out to Dez. But what Thomas had in mind and the vision that some fans have, to do things like these and create things like these, like even with the podcast that I've created, or just the movement that we've done in the podcast community, or even just the RISEUP Tour Fan Club. What we do as fans, we really enjoy this. Like, this is a passion for us. Like, this is the love from us for the fans. Because technically, at the end of the day, I'm sure Thomas would probably want to just grab his ticket, go in the stadium, sit down, and go home. Right? We can do that. But at the end of the day, when you look at it on the other side, we want to help out the fans. We want to look to give the fans, events on the road and things to do, and they can look at the fan base and say, "Wow, the RISEUP Tour Fan Club did this." So I think moments like when me and Thomas first met, talking about the tour, and Thomas had the vision for what it could be years later, and then now years later we're here. Oh man, it's really a moment of destiny, because it's kind of like Kobe and Shaq, right? It's kind of like certain moments where You know, look at the Hawks. They just got the number 1 draft pick. I'm sure they're looking to say, hey, we're going to draft the guy that's going to get us over the hump. Look at Kirby Smart when certain players filled up with Georgia, where he knew, hey, I got a back-to-back championship team here. That's how it kind of feels when me and Thomas talk about the Rise Up Tour, because sometimes we're focused on the next year already in the middle of the year, right? Because we're doing a lot. So it's really big that, you know, these moments are shared in a good way, because Thomas had a great idea about this tour and great idea about what we can do with the fan base. And, you know, when I share my ideas about what we can do with the fan base and, of course, the tour too as well, it worked, because if it didn't work, we wouldn't be doing this 6 years later.
Absolutely.
Right. 7 years. We're going on another epic journey now with this schedule dropping on Wednesday. And Thomas can tell you, like, it's 24/7 type of thing, right? And Thomas, he's living that. He's in the shoes of that 24/7. So I'm done speaking about that part. Thomas Scott, to you, sir.
Mr. Thomas Scott, do you feel like there was destiny? Do you feel like this was preordained? What are your thoughts in regarding to, because to set the scene, Jack is brilliant as far as his connectivity to people. Jack is a man of the people, and he can talk to presidents and corporations as well as guys on the street. There are very few individuals that can do that. And Mr. Thomas Scott, from what I hear, you are a genius as far as corporate structure is concerned, as far as talking face-to-face to business owners, as far as getting things done. This is a very rare freak occurrence that you guys would meet in a scenario like this. You almost have to acknowledge, is there not an element of destiny to this, or what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think so. Because I was going to go to the game regardless.
Right. And I was
going to go to the game regardless. But then again, I saw this guy post a ticket, be like, yo, well, I want to sit, you know, that's it. Anybody who knows me and they know my nickname, the End Zone King, I always sit in the first row regardless. So that was right up my alley. So
and guess who got an end zone ticket? Guess who has an end zone ticket?
He got an end zone ticket, first row. Like, oh, okay.
Which he is now the end zone king. Terry, I will tell you, I don't even like to sit in the end zone no more. I'm over there on the 50-yard line or like the 40. But Thomas is the end zone king now. I
like the end zone. I like them both. But go ahead, Thomas. I'm sorry.
So it's like I was like, all right, well, cool. I ain't want to pay ticket fees. And then 2 is he said he had proof of the ticket. So I was like, all right, cool. He's not really taxing that bad. He was like face value. I think at the time like $95 or something like that. So he said, man, just shoot me 100. Cool, no problem. Boom. So got the ticket, and then it's like we didn't really talk like that. Like we just, it was just like an exchange. You know what I mean? It was just like an exchange. But when you sit next to somebody, you talk more with them. So then as the game started getting ready to, you know, get closer, you know, we talked, right? So I do feel like the stars aligned. And it was just like, all right, cool. It was just like, this is it. And then, you know, kind of fast forward is we really had a deep conversation going into the offseason.
Okay.
And that's when it just, it's like, all right, it's a match made in heaven. It's like, hey, this is it. Like, it was just, all right, cool. Now I was like, all right, kind of following him on social media a little bit, you know, can talk to him, bounce off ideas, and just, it was kind of, so yes. So to answer your question, yes. Okay. So I do feel like, you know, like with anything, right? It's just like a marriage or a partnership or whatever the case may be. You don't know if it's going to work.
Right.
At times, and let's be honest, sometimes me and Jack don't see eye to eye on certain things.
Right.
You know what I mean? But we still come out with a positive outcome.
Right.
I'll be like, nah, man, we ain't doing that. And then he may say, oh, yeah, man, we should. And then, all right, well, we call each other back and be like, all right, well, cool. All right, let's try to do this. You know what I mean? So it's a relationship.
Right.
And it's for the people.
Right.
So I do feel like this was supposed to be. I couldn't tell you what it couldn't be, but as of right now, to this day, this is what it's supposed to be. And the cards, the deck of cards, was aligned for us. The stars were aligned for us to be where we are.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
And the
Mr.
picture on the
Thomas.
screen is from Cleveland too, as well. We threw a nice little
Okay.
small event in Cleveland. Had some fans that showed up, and you can see even from Terry. Look, this is just calling a couple of fans to show up. There's about 20 fans in this picture, and then at the party, you're talking about almost 300-400 fans. So when it comes to fans really wanting to rock together and be in an area together of other diehard fans, they wanted this.
Yeah.
Right. They've been waiting for that moment, and of course, with the RISEUP Tour Fan Club, that moment is now. But yes,
Damn,
Terry.
yeah, you like my grandma, man. Like, how the hell you keep getting these pictures? Like, sheesh, like got this photo album or something. Like, it was like, man,
I got it,
lost
man.
this photo. Like,
I got it, man. Remember I sent you the chat from 2018 earlier today. Like, I got it, man.
Damn, let me find out, man. Your grandma photo album.
But we got some fans that, big shout out to Shamika, like big shout out to Joy, like big shout out to Ricardo, like Darth Falcon, like big shout out to Anthony House, like big shout out to a lot of the Falcon fans. We can go and name hundreds, up to thousands of Falcon fans we can give shout outs to. But shout out to everybody, because it really took, it took a community of Falcon fans to look at the tour and look at the fan club and say, these guys are serious.
Yeah.
Right. This isn't we're here for a couple of minutes and we're gone. But this is years. I'm getting gray hair, Terry. I'm getting grays over here, man.
Hey,
come on off.
Well, I'm too unattractive to not have a beard, so I'll leave that to you guys. But we don't want to scare the fans away, Jack. It's a family show. We don't want to do that. So to that end, Thomas, what is the difference between our beloved RISEUP Falcon Tour or RISEUP Tour Fan Club? What is the difference between that and, would you say, other organizations, right? So the Cowboys, the 49ers, the Steelers. What have you noticed from your perspective as president of our illustrious group? What would you say the difference is? And, to that end, what are the similarities?
Well, let's start with the differences. One, we're not a legacy team, right?
Not yet.
Well, not yet,
right.
But you have to look at the Cowboys, the Steelers, the 49ers, the Browns. They have a sense of, doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is, who's the wide receiver, who's the head coach. I noticed that they get behind their team regardless.
Okay.
And for us, we got a problem who's at quarterback. We got a problem who's at, who's the running back or who's the OC. Like, I mean, we love Kyle Shanahan when he was with us. Like, he was a genius. But since we couldn't win the big game, it's like, okay, now
number one hated in Atlanta.
Right. I got a story about him too. I ended up meeting him in San Francisco. Like, we was at the same hotel. But that was kind of the differences. So similarities are passionate fans, fans who travel, people who do support the team. Now, they could be in the cracks and crevices in different places, but they're there. But the biggest thing is, no matter what the record is, those other fan clubs, they show up.
Yes, they do.
So, with us, sometimes we have a tendency of, well, the Falcons is 1-10.
Right.
Yeah. When we played the Browns that game, the Browns did not win a game. They were 0-something. They beat us.
Yeah, they were pretty bad that year.
But the stadium was sold out. So I was like, well, why can't we do that? And just 2 years prior, we had just won on the Super Bowl run. You couldn't find any merchandise.
Nowhere.
I mean, even the bootleggers were out of merchandise.
I think. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No,
I think Atlanta. The difference between Atlanta and a lot of these legacy teams are, Atlanta, first and foremost, is a very transient place. People come and people go. People stay. People leave. I would venture to say at least 50% or higher of folks in Atlanta are not from here, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, Our former owner, okay, I'm going to be careful. Prior to Arthur Blank, the emphasis was not always on winning. And I think I can say that fairly. Arthur Blank being here has changed some things, and I thank God for it. But a lot of these legacy teams are that way because they won back in the day, right? And so they've established a foundation of fans who will never leave because they've experienced those championships. It's a different world today. It's a different world today. People have other things to do. So it you know, just in my mind's eye, that's the reason for that, as to why specifically the Falcons, right? Specifically with our public losses. I'm going to be honest with you. I think when, you know, because I always say if, but Jack has corrected me, when we win a Super Bowl, I'm going to predict a lot of that will change, right? Because a lot of the cloak of embarrassment that we wear, that's just there, that's in the room, the cloak of 28-3, it follows us, right? Not me, not you, not Jack, but as a fan base, it follows us. When we win that Super Bowl, that comes off, right? But let me get back to my point because, you know, I don't want to ramble. You guys are, excuse me, the only Falcons travel group. Is that correct?
Unofficially, officially, yes. I would say that there are now. I'm not gonna, you know, no shade to anybody. I think there are other groups and there's other people who do this as well. And I mean, know a couple of folks who may have their own small group of people who they do it with. And not to take away from what they have going on. Correct. But I do feel like we may be the largest, the largest travel group. But I want to be clear though, this is a very thin line that I want to walk as a tightrope. What makes us different from any other people who say they do it, we only focus on away games.
Yes.
And I want to make sure that we highlight that.
Yes.
Right. We don't focus on stuff what goes on at MBS. We don't focus on that. We don't focus on training camp. We don't focus on anything what you have to get on a plane or a train or drive a car to more than 30 miles, then that's considered to be an away game. So I think that's where I want to focus. So I think that for sole purposes of the Rise Up Tour Fan Club is that we only focus on away games.
Okay.
So I just want to put that out there for the record, right? So I think so to carry that title, yes. But I wanted to give a little information behind that.
Right. No, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. I bring it up to say that it's phenomenal that this was started with two men and you guys are growing by leaps and bounds. And it just, it speaks to your know-how. It speaks to your vision. And I think it's just great. And I just want to give you both your flowers because I can't believe this started with two guys sitting together at a ball game, chopping it up. And it's morphed into this organization. Like sometimes at these parties, there are 300, 400, 500 people that heretofore would not have met each other. You know what I mean? I think it was a great vision that you said, because think about it. When you're on the road as a fan, that's kind of a lonely experience, right?
Where fans become family.
You say that again, Jack.
Where fans become family, the Rise Up Tour Fan Club.
And I say it in jest, but it's really true. Look, if you can sit down and have a meal with the person, if you can party with the person, that's something you'll take with you forever. So let's say you do see them at a Ben's game. You're going to be like, oh, I saw him in Cleveland, or I saw her in Denver, or I saw her whatever. And that rapport builds, right? And not only that, Thomas, but you guys are building more fans and connecting more of a network globally, which I think was a part of the ultimate goal.
Right.
Thomas, Jack, let me ask you a question. What do each of you think your strengths are and your best attributes that you bring to this group? And Jack, we'll start with you. What are you? I know some of them, but I want to hear what you have to say. What do you think your strengths and best attributes are that you bring to the Rise Up Tour?
Oh man, see here. I mean, we can start with just the fan experience, man. You know, from being a diehard Atlanta Falcon fan, I can relate to the fan in many ways. Of course, like you said earlier, from just speaking to people on a corporate level, also speaking to your small local fan that's, you know, in the back of Gwinnett County, right? That only goes to one game of the year. I still know how to relate to the fan too as well. So fan engagement is also very big for me.
Yes.
Reaching out to the fans. I always tell Thomas, hey, I'm going to contact this person. I'm going to contact this person because, you know, fan experience has always been a part of me. I think I've always wanted to find ways, you know, even on one time for the fan to give back to the fan, right? To try to make sure the fan is blessed. If we're not winning on the field, we might be winning off of the field. I always say it that, you know, we can lose the game on the field, but we're going to win the game in the stands, right?
Yes.
It's about the fan, right?
Yes.
And I think I do a good job of connecting with the fan. Also keeping things balanced at times too as well. I think Thomas knows that he's go, 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 go. And it's like, hey, Thomas, let's look at some things on, you know, on the other side of the ball. Thomas might be the offense and then here comes the defense, right? We got to win the game together, right?
Okay.
But also, like how Thomas mentioned earlier, we might have some disagreements, but at the end of the day, we know we're going to win if we just believe. Like we have to really believe in it, right? I think we both have a vision for the Rise Up Tour, but hands-on, being on the ground, I think this year a lot of people will see what I have brought to the Rise Up Tour Fan Club from a Jack Spade type of level for the Rise Up Tour Fan Club versus, who just put that together? You know what I'm saying? I really want fans to see that and from my perspective, I want the Rise Up Tour Fan Club to be number one in every fan's hearts that travel to away games. When you get off that plane, Terry, I told you that story about when I was in Seattle and I heard the fans talking about the parties and the events.
Yes.
And I look over at it and I'm like, what events? And they show me the phone and I'm looking at the phone and somebody texts the guy the number and I'm like, that's the Rise Up Tour. You know, that's the group. And the fans are like, oh man, that's you guys. Oh, did you guys do the Miami situation or the New Orleans situation? It's about making sure those fans are comfortable. Right. And a lot of times fans need somebody to speak to. They need a voice to speak to. If they can't get a hold of Thomas, they're going to try to reach out to me. But now we have a team, a very strong team of individuals that we have to give shout outs to. I mean, big shout out to Fred, big shout out to Giselle, big shout out to Rosalind, big shout out to Shayla, Michael Nellums too as well. And there's so many people, big country, that now that people can reach out to with the Rise Up Tour Fan Club that they can get a response from. It was so hard to get a response from Thomas years ago, because there's a million things he's doing. Right. There might be so many things that I'm doing too as well that you couldn't get a response. Now we're a little bit more, we're leveled, right? We're way more organized than we were in the first year, right? But all that came from a vision that Thomas had and a vision that I had, and we did the fusion together like Goku and Trunks, like Dragon Ball Z type shit. That was my anime reference for all you anime people. Like big shout out to Dragon Ball Z too as well. I'm a big Dragon Ball Z fan. But when we fuse together, Thomas's ideas match with my ideas, right? And it comes with creativity, right? It comes with innovation, right? Yes. It comes from having a creative mind and response to listen and go beyond. Right. And if Thomas could have worked with anybody else, there could have been disagreements, right? From day one, there could have been situations where he's like, I don't want to do this tour no more from day one. But I think there's always been a way, in every day, every week, every month, every year that we've talked about the tour, it was always to better the fan. Right. And I think that comes from the heart. Right. And that's what that's what we all have here with the Rise Up Tour Fan Club. Every member, fan or administrator or whoever, they all have heart to believe in these Falcons. So I bring a big level of pride. The details, small details in between, like, you know, the technical stuff like computer work and stuff. We're going to get into all that because everybody has a hands-on in this. There's a lot of people now involved. Right. But Thomas can tell you that he does take care of a lot of the hands-on work that fans do see, right? So fans got to give a big shout out to Thomas on that level. But there's other people you're not seeing that's behind the scenes that will be getting a lot of shout outs going forward, because people will say, well, wait, Shayla's with you guys? Oh, wait, hold on. Rosalind's with you guys? Because we do have a strong team of individuals that do present a lot of good things for the Rise Up Tour Fan Club. And my hats go off to them too as well. Thomas?
Well, I want us to put the truck in reverse real quick. We're not gonna run nobody over though. But I think that we owe a couple of people their flowers, since we talked about giving people their flowers, because they was a crucial part in building the Rise Up Tour. So that's Joy Burley and Denise Moore. They were a part of this on the initial part. It's almost like an investment, right? So I come to T. Will and say, "Hey, T. Will, I need $100,000." You're like, "All right, Thomas, I'm gonna give you $100,000, but I want, I got to get my return of investment." Gave it to me. So, but those people were very integral to building that. So, with that being said, going to answer the question, but I just wanted to put that out there for the record.
Of course.
To let people know, because I don't want people to feel jaded and say, I'm a fair person.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
I call a spade a spade. No pun intended.
Shit. I'm getting ready to reply, and I'm like, you know what? No.
So like I said, I want to let people know that, because Jack said it is multiple people,
yes,
multiple tentacles who had a part in this. So yes, these may be the faces, but on the initial early on, it was other people involved as well. So I want to kind of publicly acknowledge that. But the answer to the question is, my strength is, so my background is business.
Okay.
So since my background is business, I've always learned is that in order to be taken seriously, you have to be able to show the work. You have to have the paper trail, right? Okay. We can't call ourselves the Falcon Boys but we can't get mad if somebody else goes registers the name the Falcon Boys, right? We can't get mad. Right. So I had to find a way to use my background. And I want to give a shout out to Florida A&M University as well.
I thought you were gonna say Florida State.
He worked it in there.
I thought you were gonna say that. Big shout to FAMU.
Shout out to FAM. But that's where my background comes from. So that strength is as far as the business, right? Any fan club, any volunteer, any community service, anything like that, you still have to have the business side of it.
Gotcha.
And just because I bring up the word business, I'm not talking about financial.
Okay.
Because you still have to have the structure, right? You got to deal with the feds. So it's paperwork. When we go to these venues, they're like, "Well, you got any paperwork? Oh, you're a business. You're this, you're that." Like, yeah, like we're a nonprofit. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Well, come on in. But also too is that kind of gives people, because if not, they just look at us just party promoters.
Right. Yes. Right. It gives legitimacy. I guess is what you're saying, correct?
Right. It gives us that. So we have to start, finding the way. Is all right. Well, cool. If we're gonna really do this, like in any business, like my dad used to tell me this all the time. He say, "Son, if I'm gonna buy you this piano, you're gonna play it."
I hear that.
So I'm not
like my dad.
Yeah, I'm not gonna buy it if you just gonna, leave it in the garage. Just like every kid on Christmas, they say they want this, that one toy they play all year long. But you got them bicycles, everybody want it, and you ain't roll. But then when your cousin come over, he ride bike and you get mad.
Right.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Siri, you okay, Siri?
Yeah. Siri.
Yeah, man.
My Siri just responded. Hey, man, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Thomas.
So, and that's kind of where that structure and kind of what I bring, right?
Okay.
Also the leadership, right? I've been in leadership for almost 15 years.
Okay.
So you have to have somebody with a strong charge to do it, and if you have and I guess you can say this, I'm the no man. So
somebody's got to say no.
Somebody has to say no.
Somebody has to say no.
I don't want to Kevin Hart it and say I'm the yes man in this situation, but I'm the balance. I'm the balance.
I shut it down. I'm like, no, they ain't gonna do that. So we got to look at sometimes you got it's a good idea, but like, nah, it ain't gonna work. Or be like, well, who's gonna pay for it?
Right.
You know, like someone said, who's going to build the wall? Who's going to pay for it?
Right.
We look at this. Who's going to pay for it?
Right.
And just kind of knowing, knowing those things. Also, I kind of bring in, it's just like more of the event. But that's the thing is, I'm not an event planner.
Mm-hmm.
But
Okay.
I handle with a lot of moving pieces.
Okay.
I manage bands. Some people don't know, but I manage bands on different levels. So when you have a band, just say with 5 people, and you got artists in different areas, you got to find a way. You got to play Tetris. All right, T Will's flight lands at 5:05. The event starts at 8. Will he get there? Of course, a lot of coordination. It's a lot of things. So it's just like in this little, my left side and the right side of the brain, it just kind of all spins together. And I was just like, man, how do you know that? I just know it. So those are those things that I kind of bring to the table. I don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
I can sit here and tell you that it's people on our team who plays a part. And again, I think me and Jack gets the credit for it, or I may get the credit for it, but those lavish emails will go out. Yeah, my name may be on it, or Jack's name may be on it.
Right.
But it's not me.
Gotcha.
Those nice and forms and documents, and people say, man, you guys are very well organized. It's not me. So it's a team of people who is behind it. So, in order to make this organization run, so yes, you got to have a face. Any type of leadership chart, you have to have a face. But it's like we the people, like the Constitution. We the people. So we, the Rise Up Tour Fan Club, presents this. So those are those things that I bring. But you got to have the chief. You got to have the Indians. You got to have it.
Even if you're going over, just to piggyback on what Thomas is talking about here, Terry, because we talk about the Rise Up Tour Fan Club here on One Time for the Fans. I know fans are excited about this upcoming schedule, and they want to know, well, what is the Rise Up Tour Fan Club? I mean, we do have a lot of things that we do on the road for Falcon fans, but we also have some community events that we do here too as well at home, because we want fans to just feel engaged throughout the year. One thing that we had last year that's going to be coming back too as well, Terry, is the newsletter, right? So fans, as you can see here on the page, I have the newsletter up, right? So fans can see from the newsletter that they can get an updated, pretty much quick fix of information on the September 2023, which is our edition for the Rise Up Tour newsletter, which we're going to bring back this year. But they can see from right here that, we have some upcoming games, and we have some information. We have some notes for fans when they're traveling, and it kind of helps them out, because a lot of fans want to go to one website and see everything, right. Terry? Just to make it easy for Falcon fans. Instead of just sending them to like 5, 6, 7 different links, they can just go to one website and pull it up and notice that, okay, the Falcon fans have this event coming up, or I'm sorry, Rise Up Tour Fan Club has this event coming up. And of course, they're going to be at this restaurant, or they're going to be hanging out in this area. But this is not me. Fans saw me post this, but this wasn't just me. This is also Shayla, who's also involved in this, who does a very good job with our a lot of things behind the scenes work, right? And we also have Matthew Bass too as well, who helps us out a lot too as well. So big shout out to Matthew Bass. As you can see, Terry, I'm name dropping a lot of people here who help out behind the scenes with the Rise Up Tour, that some fans may see Thomas posted or I posted, and it's like, oh, those are the 2 people handling it. No, it's not. There are some people who are really crucial to the Rise Up Tour Fan Club, and we have to give them their flowers. So I know we are getting.
I want to say something. So I had gave somebody my password to post, right? I had freaked out. I was like, man, somebody done hacked into my account, because I knew I didn't post anything. But it was like, we posted all of this stuff. I was like, oh, thank you. They adding folks and doing. I was like, oh no, shit. Someone done broke into my account. I was like, no.
I remember that day.
Man, and I was like, what just happened? Like, but I forget that we had people working on the background, and they didn't know that it was going to pop up under me. So, and I had said, man, Jack, did you post something? They're like, no, it wasn't me. I was calling around, but for some reason, Facebook just kind of made it posted like it was me, but it was somebody else because they had access to the page, but it came up on the Thomas.
Mhm.
And I was like, man, I'm going crazy. Like I changed my password.
That's an
Tried to
awful feeling.
tried to call Mark for a minute. Kind of hit up
That-
Zuckerberg. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, man.
That's an awful
I even
feeling.
called Tom from MySpace. He didn't pick it up though.
Tough. That's tough.
Oh wow, guys! I want to shift gears for a minute, just to something fun. You know, a lot of times when you're on the road, especially when you go to a city of culture like New Orleans, or I don't want to equate Philadelphia with culture, but I guess I'm going to have to in regards to the culinary scene. Thomas, when you're on the road, right? What is your favorite meal or favorite place that you go to for that authentic experience? And I'm gonna throw this out to you. What's that for you? Uh-oh, he's putting the head down. Uh-oh.
I ain't gonna lie now. Falcon fans that love to hit the road, we eat good on the road. We
ain't
eat
gonna
good.
like what I'm gonna say, man.
Oh, I see it. I know where it's going already. I know where it's going. He's looking at me like, why did you ask me this question?
So I'm gonna leave the name out of the city, but they have some very good food.
Okay.
From the red beans and rice.
Okay. Yeah.
To the oysters, to the beignets.
Yeah.
To the daiquiris.
Yeah. I love me some
crawfish.
Yeah.
So we're not gonna name the city, but
that's
probably one of the number one places that I do enjoy that in that city.
Okay.
A fun fact, and this is kind of off the subject. So my oldest son, Christian, his mom is from New Orleans.
Okay.
And so my son is torn, but he was born in Dallas.
He is.
So he was born in Dallas. You know, his dad being a Falcons fan, his mom's a Saints fan. So I remember when he was born, his godparents got him a Tony Romo jersey.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Feel like, well, I'll settle this debate. And so both teams, well, I hate both teams, right?
Of course.
But,
of course.
You know, she just, you know, she gave him, she was like, I was like, no, you can't do this. So my son would tell you, like, she would send him with New Orleans stuff. And I would send him with Falcons stuff. And my son would tell you, like, Dad, I just want to make everybody happy, but I'm stuck in between both
the two. Right. I'm
stuck. And he doesn't know because his mom would make him take the clothes off. Be like, no, you can't wear this in the car. So he flew in. So my son flew in. I said, son, make sure you dress because we're going to pick you up from the airport. We're going to go straight to the game. He had to put the jersey in his backpack.
Oh. Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
He had to put the jersey in his backpack. When he had his red and black on, he just had a red shirt on, but we were playing Tampa that day. And but he had to put the jersey in his backpack. And, you know, so, but yeah, but New Orleans is one of those places that I do enjoy the food. Also, San Francisco. We went to San Fran, and shout out to the Anglins, Brian and Kelly Anglin. They've been a day one. They've always rocked with us.
Big shout out Brian and Kelly.
Yeah, Brian and Kelly. They're number one. We end up meeting them in Arizona. No, we met them in Arizona, and then we've been friends since. So that's where that slogan came from, where fans become family. But San Francisco has very good food. I love Philly's official cheesesteak. When we go back to DC, man, I'm gonna get the mumble sauce and the mumble sauce, French fries, salt and pepper on the fries. Perfect. It's like perfect. But you gotta go to
mumbo sauce.
They sell it at Walmart, but it's not the same.
Okay.
But it's just like this perfect recipe. And then also I can say, like in Texas, I like their barbecue. I like the brisket. It's a lot of places, but I would say that place down there was shaped like a boot. Got to be number one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thomas, you seem like a bit of a foodie, but so
man, you see that belly right there, man? I ain't talking about Big Rob. I'm talking about myself.
Big shout out to Big Rob too as well from the RISEUP.
Hey man, I got one just like it, my brother. I got one just I like to partake. So
man, but this is the thing is, and that's one thing too about the tour, right? is that we try new restaurants. Like we went to Seattle, we tried a restaurant. Shout out to Adrian Holmes. So we go to different places and like we eat the food. Like we want to be a local, right? I do have a ritual though. When we go back to the boot, every time that we drive, I stop at Raising Cane's in Slidell. I eat it every time. That I won't eat it in the city. I got to eat it on the way out. Same gas station, same block. It's exit 39. I stop there every time. I get gas. I get a 5-hour energy drink, and I get me a Raising Cane's box, and we out of there.
Isn't that funny? Like, so my parents are from Alabama, Montgomery, and so when we would travel to Montgomery, we would stop in this little town off the beaten path, always, because it's kind of central to both locations. We've probably stopped there over the years at least 30 times. We've gone to multiple restaurants on that trip. And as you get older, you just kind of get used to it. So every time we go down there, like, you know, my dad's not even alive anymore. But we stop at that little location and we discover a new restaurant, or we go to the local Hardee's there. There's a Hardee's there. They're just, oh my God, they're outstanding. But so, you know, you kind of reminded me of that when you said that. Jack, I know you love food. I know you love to travel. Guess what? You can't be a copier. Okay, so you can't say what Thomas says. You have to be original. What are some of your, and you travel, so what are some of your favorite foods that you've discovered?
I mean, when you're traveling as a fan, that's definitely part of the plan when you're on the road, is to get a chance to sit down and taste some good food from a different city that you've probably never been to. But you probably watch YouTube videos or TikTok videos or a lot of the Food Network videos. I mean, like Thomas mentioned Dallas. When we went to play the Cowboys that year, I mean, we did lose the game, but the experience of having, you know, the party, of course, the night before, and then meeting up with other Falcon fans around the city to go, you know, experience, you know, sightseeing and so on. But Hard Eights was one of the barbecue places that I ate in Dallas, and that was just amazing. As soon as I got off the plane, a good friend of mine who lives in Dallas took me over there to the restaurant called Hard Eights Barbecue. That was amazing. Right, this year I'm going to Philly, right? So going out to Geno's Cheesesteaks is going to be big too as well, to try to taste something that I've seen on TV for a while. Of course, when we played, like he's mentioned, I mean, New Orleans, they always have, you know, good food too as well. We do hate the Aints, but their food that they have, their culture, just the taste. And when you sit down at these restaurants, it's a totally different taste than being outside of Atlanta, right? So that's also cool too as well. Down in Miami, you know, we went down there by DJ Khaled's restaurant too as well. So I mean, I'm a foodie, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we got some games this year. Big shout out to the Hen House in Minnesota, because they have good breakfast too as well. We play the Vikings this year, so I know a lot of fans might be interested in going to the Hen House. But I just love the experience. And when you go on the road, either you can sit with fans, and here's the cool thing, you know, we do our breakfast with One Time for the Fan, Terry, on Fridays, but when you're on the road with fans eating breakfast at a random location that, you know, you posted in the group, and 2 fans show up. I mean, next thing you know, 10 fans show up, and then 15 fans show up. Thomas, you saw what happened in Arizona. I just called Thomas and said, "Where you guys at?" He said, "I'm eating at Saul." So, okay, we're just going to stop by for a minute. It was like, what, 6, 7 of you guys? And then what, 5 of us rolled up, and then 10 more fans rolled up, and then 20 more fans rolled up. Now they're playing Atlanta music, and now you're eating with a plate in your hand. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, you're dancing with a plate in your hand. I'm sorry. I'm just so lit and ready for this show tonight. But when I go on the road, I try to experience everything. You know, I try to experience what is going on around the city, if they have any shows, any events. Of course, the sightseeing is also big as well, because I'm a tourist. So I want to eat the good food. Why would I travel to Denver this year and go to Wendy's or go to Burger King? Like, I can do that back home in Atlanta.
That's a good point.
I want to see. I'm going to go. Matter of fact, this year for Vegas, we're looking at all the foodie spots in Vegas. Right? Check out TikTok. You look at, like I said, the Food Network. Where has Man versus Food gone? Or you know, maybe some of the world-renowned chefs. Like, where did they go? I think Hell's Kitchen's in Vegas too as well. So that might be a restaurant that fans may be interested in. But I want to experience that. So as a foodie, I'm all for going to the city. Shout out to DC, Ben's Chili Bowl. That is also a big place to go to as well.
Look at
We went
Thomas's
down
face.
hey man, let me tell you something. I went down to Chili Bowl. I had to try the Chili Bowl one time, and I saw the chair where Obama.
Oh,
sat.
I love it.
Well, that was fun.
I
But
love it.
one time, Ben's Chili Bowl. I had to try it one time because fans said, "Hey man, you from DC?" I said, "No, you gotta go try Ben's Chili Bowl." I said, "I'm gonna try it one time."
And
And I
so Ben's Chili Bowl is a lot of history there. It's very
Yes.
rich.
Yes.
And just a small side note. So during the civil rights era and stuff like that, that's where Martin Luther King, all of those people, they needed a place to go.
So it's kind of like Pascal's in that way, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they needed a place to go and they needed somewhere to eat.
Okay.
And that was the place. And that's how Ben's Chili Bowl became famous. Because it was just that iconic spot. I mean, they serve half links, chili, some other stuff they serve, but that was the gathering point where they would go after the marches, after they got meeting with all the politicians. They would go there, and that's where they come up and strategize for the next thing. So Ben's Chili Bowl is a place to go.
Okay.
It is. Mr.
And guess
Hollis
what? We play the Commanders this year, so I think I'm gonna go back to Ben's Chili Bowl.
So, but then again, you may like their chili. But however, when you from the South, when they make it homemade, it's a little different the way my grandma put the seasoning in it, and you see those beans cooked all day, and it's a little different. No, I'm not knocking Ben's Chili Bowl.
Nope.
It's gonna be on the list when we go to DC. But you got like half smokes, you gotta kind of like that. But when you kind of but it's a lot of history there. So make sure you take a picture of
you guys are making me so hungry.
I'm getting hungry too as well. But here's the cool thing, Terry. How Thomas is mentioning DC, he knows the stomping ground. That's like his stomping ground.
Yeah, that's what
he knows DC.
When you brought up that you're going to DC, I'm like, okay, Thomas is going to determine.
He's ready to go. He's like, don't let it be week one because Thomas is probably already there. Because he's that diehard fan, but he also knows DC, the DMV area, like the back of his hand. So where we're going to party, where we're going to hang out, where can fans do this? Thomas is like, I know this. Don't stay there. Don't park there. They're going to boot your car. He knows that area. Big shout out to Adrian Holmes too as well. We went to Seattle. We didn't know Seattle. Our good friend, RISEUP Tour member too as well, Adrian Holmes, was there to help us out to say, look, Falcon fans, when you come in town, this is what you need to do. Do X, Y, and Z. For those that were a part of a group that saw that, we saw the fans that were traveling all over Seattle, and they'll see us downtown and say, where are you guys staying? Oh, we're staying at the Marriott. Oh, my God, how many fans are over there? A lot of fans. Oh, we want to do that. We want to be a part of that. Big shout out to Adrian Holmes. We went to London. Darren Cole. We didn't know nobody in London like that. Our ambassador, Darren Cole, RISEUP Tour member too as well, was able to put together a nice event where that's the here comes the funny part. He told the general manager he just needs two tables for 20 people. And over 400 people's in the building. He told the general manager 2 tables for 20 people in London, and over 400 people shows up. But we're not from London. Right, we wasn't flying to go get this sorted and situated. We actually got to the point the day before Thomas was like, I don't think we're gonna do this London situation. I don't think it's gonna work. And we're kind of looking at it like, yeah, it's kind of tough. And then Darren comes back into the chat and says, guys, don't worry, I got it. Everything's okay. I got the location. You guys want to see this? It's like, okay. When I walk through that door, Thomas didn't go to London, but when I walked through that door in London, I almost damn cried. I swear I almost cried. The amount of fans that I was just seeing in that building, right? But even when we went to London, you got to try the fish and chips, right? You got to go to different places and try different foods. So RISEUP Tour Fan Club members, you guys going to see some interesting things this year, I think, when you guys see our membership perks drop. And it's going to be amazing for fans to go eat and sit and have some drinks and party. And, of course, do some sightseeing and travel. I mean, I jumped into an Uber in Arizona with a bunch of fans I didn't know. They was just heading back to my location. They said, you're a Falcon fan? I said, yeah. Where you heading to? Westgate. Hop on in. Appreciate it. That's how Falcon fans roll, man. You know what I'm saying? That's what it's all about. But, Terry, it's to you, sir.
Well, guys, I want to be respectful of everyone's time, and I don't know what that is. So I'm going to get back to business a little here. And I think this is one of the most important pillars of this interview, and that is obviously, Jack Spade and Mr. Thomas Scott. You mentioned a vision at the inception of the show, Thomas, that you can share. I understand that sometimes you got to play your cards close to the vest, But if you would be so kind as to share what your vision is for our Rise Up Tour for our Atlanta Falcons.
Before
Just
Thomas
share that
answers
with
this, before he answers this,
yes.
Thomas, tonight on the podcast for One Time for the Fan, we're going to talk about how Terry was asked a question like this the other day for rookie minicamp. And not Terry, Raheem was asked this question about a rookie prospect who could make the team. Raheem's answer was, I'm not giving you nothing because I don't want another team to find out about this player before I do. So I just want to go ahead and let you know, Thomas, you ain't got to give away the full vision. You ain't got to shake the room real quick.
Well,
But if you got to, you got to.
Okay. Like I said, I'm not going to give away. We got some confidentiality things that we can't disclose. But what we can disclose is the vision is that we, as a whole, we meaning is Atlanta Falcons fans and also the Rise Up Tour Fan Club can take over a whole stadium.
Yes, we can.
That's the vision. My vision is to those who are leery, right? And I guess as we was talking about the food subject, and also this is one thing about the tour is you meet people who say, hey, I've been a Falcons fans for 40 years, but I've never been to an away game.
Right.
So my goal is to get, I want to say at least 40 people this year to go to experience an away game. And we make it affordable, right? If it's a bus trip, you got going to Tampa, Charlotte, or hell, going to New Orleans, or whatever the case may be. And that's one part of the tour too, as well, that we don't break the bank. We want to keep everything economical, right? Everybody's finances is not like Big Ball and T Wheel. You know what I'm saying?
That bus trip though is something else. I have to.
Yeah, man.
Big shout out to Georgia coach now too as well.
Yeah, shout out to Georgia coach. And we have a ritual as well. We stop at Buc-ee's, going north to south. Long as going out of Georgia, if you're going south, you're gonna stop at a Buc-ee's. Going north, you're gonna stop in Calhoun, one in Fort Valley. If we're going west, we'll stop the one in Leeds, then make our way down. Or if we're going on 85, going to New Orleans, we'll stop at the one in Auburn.
Sound like a traveler.
But we'll make sure that we stop. But yeah, the vision. One of the visions this year is for us to get more fans in the seats at an away game.
Okay.
It's a whole different experience, and I'm going to tell you, man, it's just like the noise you hear on TV. Like I get these random screenshots all the time. I've got that embarrassing screenshot with me holding my face plant and we getting our butts kicked, and I got those. Hey, Thomas, I saw you on TV. Those are those moments,
right?
And it's so funny, man. At my full time, my boss was saying, "Hey, I saw you on TV." I don't know how you do it.
The one place you want to be seen is your full time. Like I saw you,
right? Or they text me with a screenshot. Hey, we just saw you on TV. So the goal is to get more people to. That's the vision, right? To be, I want to bring the city of Atlanta, not just Atlanta, right? Because this is what makes us unique. If you are a Falcons fan,
yes,
right? Because I'm not from here. I don't claim to be from here. I just live here. I want to make sure we get every fan who is capable and who's able-bodied to get up to go to an away game. And that's the vision. I want us to say that and be like, man, those fans came to support us. That's the number one vision. Number two vision is I want to create an environment where it's family. I've been to 3 weddings and it's been 2 babies from this group. I met these people in this group.
Okay.
So it's not a dating site. But people met. You have things in common.
Right,
so just you meet your wife in this group and be like, hey, she goes to games, such and such, you start having conversations. Those are those things. Right. So I've been invited to 3 weddings. I've attended all 3. It's been 2 babies. But those things is where our slogan kind of speaks, where fans becomes family, because it becomes a family atmosphere.
Right.
I've invited Jack to my house. I've invited Country to my house. We've had a barbecue. We've ate food. We've all broken bread together. In the Southern household, when someone breaks bread together, they consider you to be family.
Amen.
So, and this is what the environment that we continue to create.
Okay.
and that's the vision, to continue moving the group as a family environment, but for people to enjoy these experiences as we all enjoy. Because I can tell you, hey man, life is great overseas.
Life is good.
It's good, but until T Will comes with us,
Sensational.
he won't know because he's living through me.
Right.
But now I want T Will. So small short story. This year my dad for spring break. My dad's never been out of the country.
Mm.
He's retired. But this year he went to the Grand Caymans with my son.
Okay.
And my dad would say, he said, "So I've been missing this." And I'm not a junior, but we got the same name. But he said, "Son, I've been missing a lot." Because we would say, "Come on, Dad, don't worry about it. Come on." But the first time, he's not afraid of airplanes. He's from New York. But he just didn't want to go. He went overseas, went to Grand Caymans, waters blue, all of that. He was like, "Man, I've been missing out all my life." But it was that experience. He got that first experience, and he keeps coming back. So we want to create that experience for people to do.
Okay. Excellent. Let me tell you something. I think that first and foremost is beautiful. As a Falcon fan who's been a Falcon fan for the better part of 50 years and seen some highs and a lot of lows, man, it does me proud what you guys are doing. And I'm being transparent with you. It really does my heart good to see you guys connecting Falcons fans in different states and really creating a sense of pride, right? Because I'm 50 years in, man. I have pride in my Falcons. The love that I have for this organization, I can't put it into words, right? So I'm proud of you guys for doing that. I'm proud of you guys for, number one, having a vision and being committed, because it takes commitment to walk something through. I'm proud of that. And hey, man, ballhead moment, hats off to you. Both. So Jack, we've heard Thomas's vision. What is your vision? And I know you guys are aligned, but can you add something to that in regards to where you see the Rise Up Tour growing and going?
The vision is clear for Atlanta Falcon fans who travel to these away games or would love to see what the Rise Up Tour fan club is doing. Or even with One Time for the Fan, man. We're just trying to bring the fan base together.
Yes.
We're trying to bring it together, but in a positive way, so that way the Falcons can see that there is a presence. We're, like Thomas mentioned, that legacy team.
Yes.
Like, we play the Cowboys this year at home in the Benz. There's going to be a lot of Cowboy fans in the Benz. Majority of those fans belong to fan clubs.
Yep.
The Steelers, the Chiefs, the Bills. This is not no Facebook group or some Discord, not Discord, or I'm sorry, I don't know, a regular server where you can talk about, this guy is catching the ball 10 catches for 32 yards, or he needs to be cut, or Kirk Cousins need to be benched. We didn't talk about that. We're talking about traveling to the game.
Right.
We're talking about going to support the team. Thomas mentioned the team could be losing, which in the past couple of years, the Falcons haven't been on the positive side of winning. But we need to get back to that. But like I said, if we're going to lose the game on the field, we can still win the game in the stands.
That's a good point.
The Falcon fans can still show up. They can be a part of something special. I've seen fans that said they're not going to the game because of the record. I, for one, don't care about the record. I will go to the game because it's an experience. Look at the pictures that we're putting up here. These are our halftime photos, because we'll call a section to do a halftime photo. We make a lot of noise. We show up, we show out. But then we have our meet and greets on Fridays and Saturdays, and our watch parties Saturday afternoons, and we're doing a lot more things, because the vision is getting bigger and bigger, that fans love what we have going on with the RISEUP Tour Fan Club. And it started back in Cleveland years ago. And look where it is now. We've already traveled to London. The Falcons have German international marketing rights, which means we're probably need to start planning for Germany.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
We was actually in the runnings probably to go play in Brazil, that we would have had to shift gears and focused on Brazil. But why are we doing this? It's for the fans.
Right.
It's for the fans. We want fans to show up and have a good time. I think Arizona really showed it last year that we can put fans together in the same area and they can go tailgate together. They can go party together. They can go shop together. They can go do hot air balloon together, ATVs together, because we are presenting a whole nother level of Falcons fandom when it comes to a travel group, a fan club. Right, this is real deal stuff, and I just want to let everybody know that the vision is for the fans. We're doing this for you all,
Absolutely.
right? Because if you guys want, we can just go buy tickets. We'll walk in the game and we'll go home.
Let's not do that.
We want to provide something that is an experience for fans. I've had fans, Thomas, you know this. We've had fans come up to us and say, "Hey, man, I know the Falcons lost, but damn, I can't wait to go back to New Orleans with y'all again."
Yeah.
Damn, I can't wait to go back to Carolina again with y'all. Man, that bus trip was lit. Man, Thomas, we didn't even talk about the train ride down to New Orleans. We did the first ever Falcon fans Amtrak train ride. Was it Amtrak? Right? Amtrak train ride down to New Orleans. Big shout out to Pastor Troy. Pastor Troy was on the train ride too as well, having a good time, lit, playing music, having some drinks, just enjoying the vibe before what? The Falcons go play the Saints. That's what it all leads up to, that one game. Look at London. We lost the game against the Jags, but that 3-hour moment was just a 3-hour moment. Everything else was experienced in London. I traveled from London to the Netherlands. Like it's about fan experiences.
Yes.
Right. And I think fans enjoy what we have here with the RISEUP Tour Fan Club because they're seeing the growth from day one to where we are now. And I can tell you from when we first started, a lot of these things were not in place. But where it is now, oh man, now fans are just waiting to find out what y'all got next. And that's the beauty of it, because fans are like, what's next? And we're trying to get bigger, we're trying to get better. We definitely don't want to, outgrow ourselves. We don't want to live beyond our means too as well. We don't want to just start throwing out things that we know we can't do.
Right.
We're trying to take it one day at a time, one step at a time, and we're not really going overboard with this. But fans can see that things have changed with the RISEUP Tour Fan Club, and it's for the entertainment of the fans. We want to bring you out, like Thomas said. We can it could be a first-time fan of 50 years. He's never traveled to an away game. Man, come on out. We guarantee that won't be your last away game. We can provide an experience to make fans feel not only just important as a fan, right, but they can just feel like they can feel welcome into the fan base. We have first-time travelers who travel with us. No family members, no husband, no wife, no kids. They travel by themselves. By the time they leave the event or they leave the city, they done met their brand new friend. They're traveling with this person next week to a different city, and now they're in a private group with them, and they're talking because it's where fans become family. Next year. You know what I'm saying? Oh yeah. I know. Okay.
X-Nay on the so guys, if I could, if you'll give me the license, I'd like to maybe add a goal to the RISEUP Tour.
Okay.
An ultimate goal, and maybe that is to add some new fans. And nobody said it, but I would imagine that people see you guys and they're having so much fun, and you guys are having so much fun that maybe they say, "Hey, I want to be a part of that." Tell me about these. I think that, and it's going to happen. As you guys continue to grow, as you guys continue to evolve, you're probably going to attract some folks that maybe don't have a team that just went to the game just to see it. And, maybe you can grow the fan base, right? Especially when you go, Germany and other places. So I think that's great. Guys, we're going to shift gears a little bit. And if you could, my brother and I are very superstitious. He more so than me. I would say he's a little ridiculous with it. But we're very superstitious when it comes to our Falcons. There's certain behaviors and rituals that if they lose, we're not going to repeat again. Quick story. We watched the 2016, Super Bowl at my house. And after that, Eric was like, I'm never watching the Falcons game at your house again. Like, I'm just not doing it. And we've stuck to that, right? So I guess my question is, obviously, when you guys are on the road, and Thomas, you kind of alluded to it, are there certain rituals that you follow or superstitions that you have that are relegated just to the Falcons? Like, if I do this, we're going to lose, so I'm not going to do it. Or if I don't do this, we're going to lose. Do any of you have them? And if so, what are they? And Thomas, we'll start with you.
One, I never bet against the Falcons.
All right.
So we can go to a city what does sports gambling, like a sports book. And I don't do so I don't care what the parlay is. I don't care. Won't do it. Like we could be. It won't. That's one. Okay. Two. Another one would be is that I never publicly said out loud that the Falcons suck. Never said it. So you can talk bad about our team, whatever the case may be, but you'll never hear me publicly say the Falcons suck. No matter, even though we can get blown out, even though when we got blown out in Dallas 2 years ago, right?
That was tough.
It was a tough walk back to the hotel. So that's one. And the last one I would say is that I won't like just say if someone's like cooking bird or something like that, I wouldn't eat it.
Wow. So was there a story behind that? How did you?
I mean, the Falcons is an animal,
right? I get it.
It kind of goes in that. So like we're eating our own skin, eating our own meat.
Okay.
So just I want.
Now is that just for the Sunday game, or is that in general in life?
Just for the Sunday game.
Just for the Sunday game. Okay, good. Because I eat some chicken, man.
Me too. But with the exception of chicken wings, but other than that, is because you go someplace.
Right.
Yeah. So you go some places, but yeah, chicken wings is that. But someone said, "Hey, man, we're cooking turkey leg or something." No,
not gonna do it. Okay. That you know what? I hadn't heard that one before, Thomas. That's an interesting one. So just to share one with you. My brother has probably the largest collection of jerseys that I've ever seen.
Sure, damn does.
Going way back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if he wears one twice, and you can, sometimes he's on the show, so he can clarify this, but I think the rule is if he wears one twice and we lose, he's not wearing it again to a Falcons event. Now, he may wear it, but he's not wearing it again to the Falcons event. And the reason why I marvel at this is because, look, bro, these jerseys are not cheap, okay? Or they're not cheap to me. I can't speak for everybody else's pockets, but $100 is still $100,
yep,
okay? Right. When I go, I'm rocking the T-shirt. I'm rocking a Falcons shirt and a jacket and a hat, and that's it. But I find that, he's very passionate about it. He won't do that. If we lose and we have a conversation before the game, well, that season, we ain't doing that no more. Mm-hmm. We're not like, sometimes we'll get together and most of the time we talk after the game. Mm-hmm. If we ever get together and just call, hey man, we about to watch this game. What are you looking for? What do you think is going to happen? And we lose, that's it for the season. Jack, do you have any rituals or superstitions that you follow specifically on the road? Or are you just, hey man, I take it as it comes, whatever? Like, what are your thoughts regarding that?
Just gotta be there before kickoff.
Okay.
Gotta be there before kickoff. It sucks when you're rushing to the game, and it's already the beginning of the first quarter and it's already started, and you got to get to your seats.
I got my hand just like this. I'm there for the national anthem.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely, especially on an away game, because for the home games, because here's the funny thing: when you're at away games, you see other fans do what you want to be done at home. Okay. So when I went to the Cincinnati game, they were in their seats damn near 30 minutes before kickoff. Okay. Right? When you go to the Seattle game, they were in their seats well before kickoff. And these are the 12s. Okay. Right? Bears fans too as well. So I want that culture for Atlanta to know when they blow that train horn at 11, that means either gates might be open or so forth. But tailgate is still going. But then when they blow that train horn at 12:30, fans, it's time to get rolling and get inside. Because you know how Falcon fans roll. Second quarter, third quarter, they rolling up in there. Right. Because that's how they just they like the rock. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But for Falcon fans that I've seen go to other cities, they've seen how Cincinnati's fan base is, Seattle's fan base is, and other teams. So for me, I love to get there before kickoff, definitely. Like Thomas said, sometimes before the national anthem's even better. You want to walk around the stadium. You want to see, what the stadium has to offer compared to the Benz, because ain't nothing compared to the Benz, right? So you want to go around and just check to see how their food prices are. Do they have any activations going on around the stadium? Anything that you can get involved with? But as an away fan, you kind of just go to your seat unless you're taking pictures, right? Because everything's for that fan base over there.
Game day pin, Jack. You forgot about
Game day pin is big because for RISEUP Tour fan club members, they love that game day pin. Okay. Right? There are fans who can't even make the game who would tell us, yo, please get that pin for me. Wow. So the game day pin is very important too as well. Tailgating, I wouldn't say is not too important because we sometimes wake up, we just drink, we walk around. So I wouldn't just say tailgating, but that game day that pin is important. Showing up to the game on time before kickoff is important. And of course, our halftime photos. We have to show out and have a halftime photo, right? And we have to have the fans in the stadium come out to whatever location we post, and we'll walk past and see a group of fans we don't even know, and we'll tell them, "Come on, join the photo." And that's how you get more fans that become family, right? And they kind of love it because we're yelling out, "Go Falcons! Rise up, Falcons!" XYZ, all that other stuff. But then you have the home fans getting mad because they're trying to go get their peanuts and popcorn, but they can't even get through this little area because here comes 400 Falcon fans jumping around making a bunch of noise. So that right there is an experience that I think you can consider a ritual, a game ritual. Like we love to have our halftime photos, but otherwise than that, that's just pretty much it for me. Win the damn game, hell.
I love it, gentlemen. I'm hearing that you get together, you go to restaurants, you experience the culture of a city, you arrive before the game, you get together at halftime, you basically just enjoy yourselves. That's during the season. As a RISEUP Tour member, do you guys have maybe, I don't know, off-season activities that, fans can look forward to or participate in? And if so, Jack, I'm going to go to you this time. Can you speak to that?
Oh, man. I know we're getting ready to wrap up the podcast here. Big shout out to everybody who's going to be watching and listening. We're going to also have some information that you guys can look forward to so you guys can sign up for the RISEUP Tour Fan Club. I know a lot of fans have been asking about it, and they're excited about the schedule release this week. So I'm sure this podcast will serve you well. Off-season events, we do some community events too as well. I mean, we have a lot of RISEUP Tour Fan Club members that they can't wait for the season to start, right? They want to show up to if you guys are, even if you're playing spades, they want to hang out, right? But as for fan club members, I mean, we do have our tailgate experience that's coming up in June next month. That's going to be open to all Falcon fans that want to come out and have a good time and see what the RISEUP Tour Fan Club does in the off season. And this is a tailgate experience where other fan clubs would be there, so we want all fans to be a part of that. Big shout out to the cruise, the RISEUP Tour Fan Club cruise that Thomas will talk about in a minute. That we've planned since last year, and Thomas can really tell you more into that fans were excited about going on a cruise a year later. Terry, right? That was been planned since last year. Now the cruise is coming up, Thomas, in June, right? End of June.
In the default room.
Right? So you have fans that's going to be showing up in June down there in Florida to go set sail to the Bahamas. Of course, we've done a 5K event too as well earlier this year in the off season, and we have some other community events that we're going to be doing, of course, coming up as well. And I might miss something. We do have, I believe, there's a bus trip coming up too as well. I might be missing something. Thomas, you might be able to help me out on this one right here. What you got, Thomas?
So, man, we do a few things. So the answer to the question is community events. Yes, we are a nonprofit 501c3. So. Actually, we have something coming up this Tuesday, May 14th. We have a generational wealth series about business banking. We have a lot of entrepreneurs or people who's business partners or things of that nature. So we have that going on with one of our partners with the city of Forest Park. Just to give people awareness about certain things or how to do things. We do a lot of food bank drives. We'll do a lot of volunteering. We did the 5K
Hunger Walk of Atlanta.
Hunger Walk for Atlanta. We did that here recently off season. So we're making our mark on the community, right? I always tell people it's bigger than football. And I just don't want us to be known for just having events in different cities. We are working on this year. Hopefully, we'll be able to do a community event at the away city before we get out and have our fun time.
Yep.
Maybe if we get out early that morning, Saturday morning or Friday, we go to a local school and pass out backpacks. But we have some community things that. And shout out to Diane Markham. She's our community engagement coordinator. But she puts on different community. I mean, we did something last year for the Grady Jarrett Foundation.
Yes, we did.
Over at Mellow Mushroom. So we're actively involved in the community. We always try to find a way to be involved, right? Because in order to know your product, meaning its product as the RISEUP Tour is considered to be a product, in order to know it, you got to be able to get out into the community as well, right? Yep. Because some people will say, well, hey, we had this fan club come by and they served our lunches today for fun day at the school, right? So that's the organization as we starting to build. So we're only good unless we're the best in the community. So those community events, and like I said, T. Will, I'm glad that you asked that those community events, and that's one thing that we have to continue to do, and we're going to start seeing a lot more. Okay. Because they're saying we're one paycheck away from being homeless, right? So we may have the ways and means to travel to the game, but it may be people in our group who may need help, or maybe people outside of our group, and they're like, hey, you know what? When I get the money, I'm gonna sign up for this group because guess what? They give back to the community, and they came out and they do such and such. We find a way to support every way that we can.
Let me tell you something. I remember my dad used to take us. We grew up in the church, and my dad used to take my brother and I. In certain communities, they have like a men's meeting, right, or a men's Saturday or whatever. And my father would, take my brother and I. And on this one particular one, we were feeding the homeless that day. And every, I guess, member that had been fed got an opportunity to stand up and say something. And this one gentleman stood up and said, you know what, this is nice, this is great, but it's really not a big difference between you and I. Because if I get a check big enough, I can be where you are. And if you lose a check big enough, you can be where I am. And I will never forget that. It was a profound moment in my life. It's, because it really, you check your priorities. You know what I mean? I think it's great that you're doing that. I don't think there's enough of that in our community, and I think that's great. So I just have one last question for you, and I thank you, Thomas and Jack, for giving me the opportunity to speak with you guys today. But the last question is, I noticed that you guys have added the fan club on the end of the RISEUP Tour. Can you kind of speak to why that change was made, and if that's going to entail anything in the future that you can say? And Thomas, you being the president, I will go to you first.
All right. So it's like, I'm going to give an analogy like McDonald's. I give a lot of analogies. So you remember McDonald's had their old sign, old menu when Big Macs was only $3.99 combo meal,
right?
$2.99, stuff like that. Right. Cheeseburger 69 cents. So we start to evolve over the years, because our logo today is not what our logo was 6 years ago. But now, as we getting bigger, we become into more of a global brand.
Gotcha.
I mean, global brand is because you have the international games, right? We have the London games. You're talking about Germany, going to Brazil. Hell, we may be going to Japan. In the FYI, the Falcons was the last team to go to Japan when they played. I don't know if people remember that, but it's a little fun fact on a Sunday. But those are those things. So adding fan club. So now people know and say that, hey, that's a fan club.
Okay.
Meaning is that's where you can bring the fans. So it's going to add more because yes, the Rise Up Tour itself, they're like, okay, yeah, you have to be a Falcons fan to kind of know what Rise Up means.
Yes.
So adding the word fan club, so now they can correlate the two and say you got Rise Up Fan Club. So they're talking Falcons football, and also they're talking about being a fan club. So they know that fans are welcome. And we married the two together, just more of a global brand scale.
Gotcha. Okay. So it like you say, it marries the two together and it kind of shifts the focus specifically to the fans.
Yep.
So that makes sense. Okay. Well, gentlemen, I thank you both for your time today. Jack, did you have anything else, or are we going to do shout outs, or this is typically the point of the show where you take over. So I'm going to defer to you and go ahead.
I mean, this has been great that we get a chance to talk about the Rise Up Tour Fan Club, because now, with this posted on our YouTube channel, fans can see and they can hear a little bit more about the Rise Up Tour Fan Club that they probably wasn't expecting, right? They didn't even know much about the Rise Up Tour Fan Club maybe before they watched this video. And then after they watched the video, now they feel like they're a part of the family too as well. We want fans to have that feeling, right? We don't divide the fan base. We will never do that. We want people to know that this is for the fans. We want to make sure that we all stick together. Once again, you can win on the field, win off the field. You can lose on the field, but we're still going to win off the field. And that's how I feel as a fan. When I go on these road games, when I travel to these away games, fans hit me up all the time. I don't try to hide information from them, where I'm eating, where I'm going to go hang out, where fans going to go hang out, where the Rise Up Tour Fan Club has their events, because we want people to come out and enjoy this, because this is something that before the Rise Up Tour Fan Club, I would just travel to a city, go eat my food, grab my ticket, go in the stadium, and go home. And that was it. Now there's a whole experience that fans can enjoy when they go on the road. From Miami, we had a what was it, Thomas? The yacht party, I believe it was. The Amtrak train ride last year to New Orleans. Thomas was a part of a group of Falcon fans from the Rise Up Tour that went to Baltimore a couple years ago for that snow game, where there was a cheap flight going there, but apparently there wasn't even a flight coming back, right? And fans had to find some way to group together to get back to Atlanta, right? And that's where
it canceled. So the flight canceled. Someone said we were stranded.
Okay.
So don't scare nobody off. So that was the time they had that bad weather storm, and everybody was canceled. It was short staff. The airport was short staff, stuff like that, long delays. So we get ready to board the flight. Mind you, the flight probably holds 180 people. We probably had 90 people on it. First flight in the morning. Everybody's out. And everybody has their thing. Well, this is why I don't fly cheaper airlines and blah, blah, blah. Hey, look, man, Delta cancels flights all the time. So it's just the luck of the draw. So we can ready to, so people to start checking their emails, and the app goes off and it goes flight cancellation. And it says Baltimore to Atlanta. So we looking. So at this time, they're boarding the flight. Ain't nobody get on the flight. We like, hold on, lady. It's like, hey, let my people go. It was like, so so everybody stopped. And at the time, and this is when you got to have leaders, because if not, you get chaos. You get chaos, but it was organized.
Okay.
So now you have level people. You have people who's a quick thinker, because just say it's T. Will's first time on the road. He was like, man, look, I went with these people. I done spent my last dime. Flight was cheap. I really don't have any money. This is the day before Christmas. Right. Everything is paid for before I left. I only got $50. We've had people like that and say, hey, man, I'm out. Because they were scared. But you had people who was level-headed and said, all right, look, calm down. Give us a second. Let us work. We looked at different flights. We looked at rental cars. Some people didn't have, say, hey, look, man, I can't drive, but I can give you money towards it. So they got passenger vans, they got vans, they got expeditions, and we lost majority of the party, but for the good 30 fans who went, we all got back Christmas morning.
And you can see that fans become family environment, fans meeting amongst the group, and then next week they're still hanging together. That's what it's about, man. We want people to know that we are doing this from the fan for the fans, right? And
we
it
left
goes a long
nobody
way.
behind. Nobody.
That's great.
It didn't matter if you had the money or not, Terry. If you didn't have the money, we're like, look, man, just get me on the other side. I'm not worried about it. You gotta get back home. You going? Come on, we'll figure it out.
That's great.
Mhm.
That's great. That's a great story. And I'm sorry to do this, Jack, because I do it so often, but it kind of brings another question. I promise, Thomas, this is the last one. Oftentimes, when you see people come together and experience a growth like this, there is a moment, and it's three-tiered. There's the message, the mission, and the movement. Right? So obviously, the first time you and Jack met, there's a message, and you guys came together and you discovered the mission. When would you say, and I'll throw this out to both of you, when would you say the mission started getting traction and became a movement? And this is with the understanding that you started in 2018. When would you say that this thing became a full-on movement? And Thomas, I'll go to you first.
So it's this is more a little personal, in a good way. So my grandmother passed away last year,
Condolences.
July 5th.
Yeah.
And I can say is my grandmother always said, grandson, you're gonna do something big. You're gonna do something big. So me and Jack had the message, and the movement was once they locked that casket, I knew I had to continue carrying the torch and to bring people together.
Amen.
So that's when I realized, and mind you, now that was our sixth year or so, but that's when it really hit, because you can't, because I ain't gonna lie to you, Terry. It's times that you want to give up, right? You just don't want to deal with it. But once they locked that casket, that's when I knew that we had a movement, because she was very big on community and very big on getting involved and doing things. And I had all of these people there. I mean, at night I have conversations with people and say, you know what, I want to walk away. Can't do it. But my grandmother was always a trailblazer, and she always opened her home to people. Matter of fact, they was down in Tuskegee. So when the new students would come in, they had no places to stay, and their dorms were there. She would open the doors, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. They were like, well, I'm out of beds, but I got a blow up mattress. You can go sleep in the red room. And so that was the movement, right? That was continuing the movement. And so now it was just like the mission is to continue carrying the torch. And the carrying the torch is bringing all these people together.
Yeah, that is definitely correct. I mean, Thomas has talked about that too with me. For me, I have to look at that COVID situation to see fans still wanting to travel even during a pandemic, right? Like there was pods set up, for different stadiums where you can only sit 4 in a group or 6 in a group, and fans were still hitting us up around that time, like, "What you guys got planned?" Man, we trying to protect ourselves right now, man. We trying to put the mask on and make sure we go get the COVID test and everything. And people are like, "No, we still traveling. The fans they're gonna let us in the stadium. What we got going on?" And then to go into COVID and come out of COVID and to still see fans that wanting to be together and hang out together because they haven't seen their friends and family in a long time, that really showed a lot once we got out of COVID. Because Thomas would tell you, we was on the phone like, man, we back outside. Like these buildings, these places that we're calling, they're allowing us to go in there with a lot of people. We're outside, like it's over. And that's when we felt the feeling that this is real, man. This is truly, truly real. I mean, you can go back to the first day at the casino in Cleveland where we put together this event and we have over 300-400 fans. I mean, that kind of gave, a prevision earlier of what was going to happen in years from now. But then you get to this year and you get to a situation where fans are not even worried about COVID no more. They don't even care about that. 2016, 2017, 2018. They want to focus on now and what is going to be the future. And they come to me and Thomas and they say, provide us some entertainment this year because we're going to Vegas, we're going to Philly, we're going to Washington. What you guys got for us? And it's not a me and Thomas thing. As you can see, we've given shout outs to a bunch of people already, and there's a lot of names we probably haven't even mentioned yet. So it's a shout out to them too as well, because we're on this podcast now. So our thoughts are racing right now. But there are a lot of people that are helping out, and we want to give a hat off to them. We want to say thank you, big shout outs to them, because it's a team effort, right? There is no I in team, and there's definitely with the Rise Up Tour, it's not a Thomas thing, it's not a Matthew thing, it's not a Jack Spade thing. It's a group thing, right? And everybody's working together to make sure fans enjoy this. So that's what I got here, man. As you guys can see on the screen too, as well. I mean, the membership is up. It is $125 for new members, and of course, it's $100 for returning members. They still want to sign up right now. We do have a promo code in place that you can catch on One Time for the Fan. If you're watching the podcast Sunday nights, Wednesday nights, Friday mornings, we're gonna have, we'll post the promo codes. You guys can get a little discount if you want on the membership. But we have a lot of members that's already signed up. It's going well right now, and of course, the schedule drops Wednesday. Right here on the first page, you do want to fill out your information: first name, last name, date of birth, street address, and so forth, because we have our membership kits that we do send out. And then when you go to the bottom, you're going to click the submit button, which will take you to another page where you'll have to enter your payment information. So for Falcon fans, go ahead, Thomas.
So look, we're going to do one more thing. So if you get to the end of this video, you can go to the website and you go to www.theriseuptourfanclub.com /flash. If you go there, all you got to do is hit flash. Just put /flash, and whatever price you see, that's what you're going to pay.
Oh, it's not up yet.
But it's not up yet.
Yeah, it's not up yet.
Go to the end of the video, but you got to get to the end, right? You got to get to the end. It's like you got to get to the end. If you go to flash, it's going to be what we're going to, and you heard it here, right here first on this podcast. It's going to be a flash sale starting whenever you get done with this, and it's going to go into the schedule drops. So $11.59.
Yes.
Now there is a fine print. This is a limited membership, meaning is you're not going to get the full perks. But just say you want to try it out, you want to do that trial run, it's going to be $50. You get a lanyard, and you be able to get on the membership list. You won't get the full T-shirt, you won't get the full kit and caboodle. But this is a limited membership. It's only going to $11.59 Wednesday night.
Okay.
So it's just a flash. Now, if you want to upgrade later on once the season starts, something that we can have a conversation about. But if you're unsure, you're hesitant, you can try this out. It's only going to cost you $50. Now, you won't get the full kit and caboodle. Let's just be clear. That's the fine print. It's always fine print in everything, just like gym membership. You don't cancel in 7 days, they're going to charge your car $49.95. This is going to be a one-time charge of $50. It's going to be $52 with the service fee. You'll be able to get your lanyard, and you'll be able to get on our mailing list. Now, some things you will be excluded from because you're not a paid member. However, we are going to bring you in. You're still good. You have your lanyard. You're going. You still be able to be at activities, but some activities that you may have to pay because you didn't qualify for the full membership. But that's what we're going to do.
Guys, if I could throw one more thing out there, I think the whole mission statement, man, that's inspiring. Jack, having COVID 3 times, I can relate to wanting to get outside, and it wasn't fun. And Thomas, man, what you said about your grandmother, I'm going to share something. My mom is probably not going to see next Mother's Day. And she said to me about 6 months ago, son, you've been trying to start this podcast, and I would really wish you would go ahead and do it. And I really feel like when you said that, man, and you have to excuse me, but it just something went through me. You know what I mean? Because I think the fact that you're doing that, and even though you haven't said it, but a part of you doing this is as a tribute to your grandmother, I think that's just outstanding, man. And I want you to know I have so much respect for that, and I can't think of the words because I'm a little emotional right now. But I tell you, man, I really, after you said that, I really want to see us succeed even more because that I'm obviously a little sensitive where that's concerning right now. But I think that everything that you gentlemen have stated today it's a great cause. You're doing great things. And I wish you guys nothing but success, man. I'm excited to be affiliated with you guys. I'm excited for what you're doing. You're not only doing a great thing for the community, but you're bringing my Falcons fans, who I love, together and hopefully expanding the brand. And I just think it's great. So that's all I have to say. Jack, I will defer to you, sir. Go
Well,
ahead.
we do have a big podcast coming up in about 45 minutes. We're going to get to that shortly. Thomas, it's great having you here talking about the RISEUP Tour Fan Club and on a pre-recorded video. Then we're back on Wednesday night for a live video with other RISEUP Tour Fan Club members because fans are ready to travel. They're ready to hit the road. Where do I park my car when I go to my hotel? Where do I what restaurant we're going to eat at? Different things they want to know. So we'll talk about that on Wednesday. It's just a cool feeling to have Thomas here.
Yes.
But Thomas, any shout outs, man, before we get up out of here?
Yeah, man. I want to shout out, first of all, T. Will, Jack, appreciate you guys.
Yes, sir.
Everybody who's behind the scenes. It's a long list, and one day that how Jimmy Fallon does his thank yous on the late night. I'm gonna write a thank you, and we're gonna do a show nothing but thank yous.
That's awesome.
We're gonna tell everybody who's behind the scenes because some people don't want to be seen in public.
Right.
But all those thank yous. Also, I want to give a shout out to a guy named Shannon Joyner. Thank you. If you know him, you know him. You don't, you don't. But I'm just gonna leave it like that. I'm just gonna say thank you. Another thing I want to go to. I want to give a shout out to everybody who signed up for the Sun and Fun Cruise. Man, and look, if you missed this year, we're already running it back. You can go ahead and sign up. I think Jack may have a photo he'll post on his one time for the fan. But we got the Sun and the Fun Cruise 2. Sailing Memorial Day weekend next year.
Okay.
It's going to be dope. We're going to be gone for 4 days. It's going to be something quick. It's a Thursday. We return back on a Monday. It's going to be quick, but we're going to have fun. So shout out to everybody who's signing up. Shout out to everybody who's on the cruise, who's going on the cruise with us next month. It's been 435 days since we put it out, and now we're almost 48 days away until go time. Shout out to Georgia Coach Line. Shout out to Dr. Jackson. We appreciate you guys, and we shout out to the whole family, man, over at the RISEUP Tour. Hey, man, we appreciate you guys. I'm sorry, the RISEUP Tour Fan Club. We shout out to every one of you.
There you go.
We appreciate you more than you know. And hey, look, keep living, and hopefully you guys can keep living with us. And we're hopefully what 2 Chainz says, man. When our Falcons gonna get here? I'm ready for them to get here, man.
Let's do it.
Going down. It's going down. Shout outs for me before I go ahead and end the podcast. Once again, shout out to everybody from the RISEUP Tour Fan Club, everybody who's a member or working behind the scenes. Once again, thank you all. Like, really, hats off to you all. Flowers go to you all. And for everybody that's getting ready to sign up, you guys are going to be part of an amazing experience that I think you will remember forever. And it's going to be great, right? So please, 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 if you have any questions or any information, you can hit up Thomas. You can hit myself up. You can even hit up T. Will, and T. Will direct you right over to the RISEUP Tour Fan Club. But Thomas talked about the cruise for next year because the cruise this year is getting ready to set sail next month. There's over 100 Falcon fans on that cruise.
Yes.
The annual bus trips that we've done to some of the division rival teams that we play. Of course, we'll probably do another bus trip this year. That Amtrak train ride down to New Orleans last year, a lot of people they love that, so they might get a chance to see that again too as well. But we will always try to find a way to raise the bar here. And the shout outs go to everybody who's enjoying those moments. But of course, RISEUP Tour Fan Club, I'll post the information in the description so everybody can check it out. YouTube, Facebook, Apple Podcast, Spotify Podcast, Amazon Podcast. You know where to catch One Time for the Fan. We're live in about 40 minutes, so we'll talk more about the RISEUP Tour Fan Club there. But until then, schedule drops Wednesday. Be prepared. What's up, Thomas?
Before you go, we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge that today is Mother's Day. So to the mothers that are here and the mothers that are not here, I want to say happy Mother's Day to everybody. To my grandmother who is no longer here, happy Mother's Day, Mary Alice Bailey. I love you. I think about you daily. You guys know, you know what I'm going through with my mother. She probably doesn't have long. So to Miss Georgia Wilson, I'm trying to stay professional. But, hey, I love you, Mom. You've been there for me for day one. You've been through thick and thin. Lord knows you could have let me go because I was a problem child. I love you. I'm going to represent you. I appreciate you. And if this is your last Mother Day, hey, job well done. Jack, I'm going to defer to you.
Happy Mother's Day to my mother, too, as well. And we'll have a nice little Happy Mother's Day shout out in a couple minutes here in One Time for the Fan. But to all the mothers, not just Falcon fans, to all the mothers of the world. Happy Mother's Day. This day is for you. They make it one day, which I'm sure, we celebrate it every other day. But this one day is Happy Mother's Day. But no, not in my family. Every day for my mom is Happy Mother's Day. Thomas, to you, man.
Jack, I think you just hit the nail on the head. T. Will, hey, I can tell I still have my mother. But you're gonna get through it. My grandmother was almost like my mother, but you're going to get through it, the whole process. And I'm going to tell you, there's never going to be a right time to grieve.
Right.
I had a breakdown probably 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I was just in my car and it just hit me. I couldn't pick up the phone. I mean, I did, it just rung.
Yeah.
And it took me a year to get there.
Yeah.
But it's there. But Mother's Day is every day.
Yeah.
Because mothers, grandmothers, godmothers, they do a lot. Church moms, people that you look up to, they do a lot. And this day doesn't do enough.
It doesn't
to recognize the mothers who do things, even the aunts, right? They do a lot.
Yes.
And
so, especially in our community,
correct,
which we won't get into, but where I'm going.
Yeah. But it takes a village.
It does.
It takes a village, because I can remember when my mom would work late, my dad would work late. Guess who picked me up? My auntie. My grandmother. So for all the moms out there, thank you for continuing being a rock star. I know people have different types of relationships, but if you can ever reconcile any type of differences that you may have with your mother, grandmother, auntie, whoever, reconcile them, because you only get one of them.
You only get one mother, and that is so true. That is so true. And man, that's all I wanted to say, guys. Thank you. And Jack, hey man, defer to you.
RISEUP Tour Fan Club. Please, please, please check it out. Tell your friends about it. Tell your family about it. We'll be live in a couple minutes, so you guys will get a chance to see us over there. Terry, Thomas, I thank you all.